Hello. I'm just gonna double, and I'm gonna put the chat up early on the screen. How's
Okay, I was like,
everyone
my
doing?
face is way too big. Let me like scoot back.
I
a
know,
little
like we
bit.
need to scoot back a smidgen. We're here reading more transcripts, and we're on page
Hello.
1000 too many.
Hey, RK.
Hello, and we have. I'm just gonna double check that we are not pulling the rug out from under Kat's channel to see that we are live over there, because you know what happened a few times ago.
Why not?
You know, just to be
subscribe?
safe. It looks like we're live, I think.
Hello, Sky.
Okay, we
How
can
are you?
hear Kat. This is great.
Yay.
That's great. Hello,
Perfect.
Christina, Sky, and I need to see.
Hey, Jess.
I think I found some voice mods, so I'm just gonna see if y'all can hear them. If you can't, then we're not gonna use them.
Okay.
So
Yay, new voice mods. Went on Wednesday. We ended at where they were talking about Gary talking about being reincarnated. Gary Young.
yeah.
So I'm
Oh
really
boy.
excited to continue that conversation.
Yes. Let me just flip this around. Video. There we go. Yeah, I was surprised when he said that he was talking about him and his ancestors and watching one of his ancestors be crushed under a stone on the pyramids or something like that. And
Yeah. And he
the
was
stuff.
suggesting that he was reincarnated from his ancestors to
Yep.
make a young living.
Yeah, which is and again, if you believe in reincarnation, I'm not trying to dig on you. I'm trying to say Gary Young taking that position and squashing any scientific validation of the purity of his oils or the efficacy of them, making claims that they can cure stuff that they shouldn't, that doesn't need to be cured, number one. And two, that there's no evidence of it doing that. I have lots of questions, and my eyebrows like just go way up when I hear stuff like that.
Well, it wasn't just that too. It was just kind of funny because he was talking about being on a pyramid, and now
which
not
is
now, but
ironic.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
set the stage. I mean,
Young
foreshadowing, I
living.
guess, for your pyramid, in my opinion,
Mhm.
that you built here in the 90s, the 2000s. It's just wild.
Pyramid-like structure.
Yes. Oh my bad, it's working. It's working, Jess. Okay. It looks like something's working now. Okay.
Let's hear the voice mods. I'm really excited.
Okay. I don't know if these are that good, but I just, if y'all can't even hear them, then that's going to be the issue. So, can you hear this one? No. Can you hear that one? This one? No. God dang it. Then this is not going to work.
Oh
Let me see.
no.
Womp womp. I can hear it on my end, but it's not. Is it the?
At least I don't hear it. I don't know if anybody
That's
else.
okay. That's okay.
Okay. Boo.
Oh well, we'll just have to do the boring ones, and I don't know why it's not working. So I spent like an hour downloading these, so I'm just
Oh
like, I don't know why they're not
no.
working. That's okay. That's
Aw.
okay. Oh well, I had like 30 of them to try out, so that's my bad. It's always
Maybe
an issue. Trying to see
turn it
if y'all
off
can hear
and turn it
them.
on again.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yep.
Shut everything down,
Yep.
turn it on
Just
again.
shut everything down and turn it back on. Hello, Melissa. All right. It's just gonna be the boring baby snark. Wait, am I hearing an echo? I think that's me. I'm gonna turn my little voice mod thing.
Let me check my mic.
Apply. I wonder why this isn't working.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's put this on the screen. And that's way too small. What the hell? That's better. Can you still read that, Kat?
Yes, I can.
So you want to reread the paragraph about
Yes.
the Gary Young debacle of the reincarnation, and then we can continue on.
Yeah.
Baby
So
yeah, I guess we are gonna do baby snark today.
I guess put it on the page right before. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. page before. Let me go back.
Yeah, since it starts with a lot of.
Yep.
All right. Do you want to start page or line 22?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how you would describe your dissatisfaction with Young Living?
There seems to be a lot of chaos and there were a lot of employees coming and going. The owner was a little bit off his rocker with some of the things he said from stage, talking about different experiences and past lives, ancestors, things like that. I remember specifically one event in Salt Lake where he made the same. Is that you or me?
That's me. Sorry. I'm turning it. I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
I remember.
My God. Oh my God. How do I turn this off? I don't know how to do anything. Okay.
You're popular.
Sorry. It should be done now.
Okay. I remember specifically one event in Salt Lake where he made some comments about telling a story about he was experiencing one of his ancestors on a pyramid that was being built, that he was there with his ancestor as she was being crushed by the rock, by the pyramid, or something of that nature.
Suggesting reincarnation?
Yeah.
In 2007, at the convention, was there anything at the convention that led you and your wife to revisit the idea of staying with Young Living?
One of the things that I remember right at the end of the convention, it was Emily Wright's birthday, and they called her out on stage, and she was totally in tears. And it seemed a bit odd to me that she would become that emotional over her birthday, being recognized as her birthday. That is something that's a little bit like at convention. Side note, at convention, there's just a lot of people who are anything gets blown into, I think, larger proportion of what it typically would be outside of MLM, and there's just a lot of emotion there on stage and outside in your like teams and stuff.
Yeah, agree. Okay, I'm here. Anything else in the convention?
Usually my wife wants to say goodbye to Gary and Mary Young. And I said, quote, "Are you going to say goodbye?" End quote. And she said, quote, "No, I'm not." End quote.
Oh my God.
And this is Gordon Herbert, by the way.
Yep.
Talking. Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoops. Yes, I don't have my graphs on, and I didn't fix them. Who's Mr. Smith? Is this it? No? This? Mr. Smith. Okay. Did you feel like that was a turning point in the relationship with Young Living as far as your wife is concerned?
I think that was kind of the straw that just broke the camel's back, basically.
Did you hear any rumors that at that convention someone was handing out anti-religious literature?
Yes.
And who was the person handing it out?
It was Gary and Mary Young. Man, I wish we could have a copy of that literature.
Yeah, me too. Holy crap. Did you understand that the literature that was being handed out was offensive to people of a certain religion?
Yes. And Mr. Tot says objection, calls for speculation, and the court says overruled. Back to Herbert. He says, yes, it was. It was totally against my beliefs.
Okay. I don't want to identify what your belief is if you don't mind for me.
Fine.
Were you upset by that?
Yes.
Had you shared your being upset at that convention with Justin Harrison between the convention up until February of 2008?
I'm sure I did.
And did he share with you the fact that most of the leadership had either been fired or quit at Young Living?
Yes, he did.
Was that something that was kind of a constant in the Young Living chaos world, that leadership would come and go very quickly?
Yeah.
How many times have leadership come and gone, to the best of your knowledge, while you were involved with Young Living?
I remember 2 specifically.
2 complete changes?
Yeah, that was a CEO position.
Were you comfortable with Gary Young as the head of the company?
No.
And other than what you've already said, is there any other reasons you were uncomfortable with Gary Young?
There were a lot of things that I did not believe from the stage that was said from teaching. No. It was just enough doubt in my mind that I didn't want to continue to follow or represent a company that I couldn't be proud of.
And your wife. Did your wife start deciding at some point in time to start with other MLM companies?
She was working probably 2 or 3 other companies at the time.
Can you give us the names of the 2 or 3 others that she was working in the fall of 2007?
One was Wayora.
And what did Wayora do? Is that a nutraceutical? What was that?
It was a toxin to remove toxins from the body.
Okay. And how many others?
There was one called HTE Americas.
And what was HTE Americas? Was that based out of China?
I think Taiwan.
Taiwan. What did they do?
Why was it called HTE Americas instead of HTE Global or something? Okay. They had machines, Chi Machine, Hot House, E-Power.
And she would sell the machines that they would manufacture?
She would sell the machines, yes.
You're pretty familiar with what the household income was that you were earning?
Yeah, I was a bookkeeper.
Okay. And had it changed over time? Had you drawn away from Young Living so that a greater part of your support was coming from HSE or Wayora?
HTE.
HTE or Wayora.
Yeah, the income in 2007, I believe, had started to go down. And I remember my wife being frustrated with me because I would close a mortgage loan and I would make 10 to 20,000. And she says, quote, "How is this fair that you make 20,000 by closing a loan and I make $1.98 selling a bottle of lavender oil here? Something's wrong here." End quote. Can you imagine? What?
Look, I can't imagine. I'm shocked right now because I mean, if you're selling essential oils, can you just like look at how much you're making per bottle of oil, and how much you have to sell per bottle of oil? It doesn't seem like it's a good opportunity in my opinion, and that's my opinion. I'm not trying to state it as fact that you can't, earn an income recruiting people, but I'm just shocked. I'm
Wild,
shocked.
especially because, I mean, if you think of the people who are pouring all of this time and energy into promoting Young Living, they're doing free advertisement and getting how much in return? That is like, and it's so frustrating because so many distributors want to just, I guess, come to the defense at the company's sake, but they're taking advantage of those distributors. That is not, it's not right.
Yeah, and it's Young Living. It's weighted way more in favor of Young Living because they're not having to spend on advertising. They're not having to spend on. I mean, advertising costs a lot. Maybe they're spending some on SEO and PPC, but that SEO and PPC doesn't benefit the distributors. It benefits Young Living because they arbitrarily stack, those random people who sign up without a distributor number into high earning people like silvers and above, or maybe even executives and above. So it's just, I don't know, like if you're an MLM distributor with Young Living, you, in my opinion, you deserve a lot better from them. And they have this new thing where you get more money by signing someone up. If they sign up with a premium starter kit or whatever it's called, you get $75 now. So if you complete all the things, you get $75. So some people were talking about signing up their spouses. So like, or their spouse or their partner. So if you sign up your partner and you get the premium one, you get $75 back. So instead of paying $280 for this ARIA kit, you would only have to pay $200 or whatever. And it's like,
You're still
God,
out to that $200.
yeah, you're still out so much
Mhm.
money. It's just, oh
So
man.
frustrating. When you were in Young Living, was there any kind of guidance as to not doing other MLMs? Like, was that against the rules? Was it just if it was they were selling similar products?
It was not encouraged. In the policies and procedures, it says that you can do another company up until the point that you reach diamond. And so once you
Mhm.
reach diamond, you can't do any other multi-level marketing company. And also in the policies and procedures, it says you can never advertise Young Living in the presence of another multi-level marketing company. So you can't go to one of these trade shows or whatever and have your Young Living stuff on a table and then have another completely different multi-level marketing company on the table. That's against the rules. So they made it very difficult to try to do multiple MLMs at the same time. But you are allowed to up until diamond, and once you hit diamond, you got to decide. You have to either give up your other MLMs or give up Young Living. So
it's almost like you don't own the company and they have all the say and everything. I still have bosses, rules, things to Okay.
Things to follow. Yep.
17.
Yes. In 2007, by the time of the convention in September, what was the amount of personal volume that you and your wife were buying of Young Living oils per month?
What were those dates?
September of 07, between September of 07 and February of 08. What was the amount of personal volume that you and your wife were buying of Young Living oils?
The minimum.
Somewhere in the $100 a month?
$100 just to keep the check coming in.
What was the amount of commissions your wife was earning on average between September of 07 and February of 08?
Maybe $1,000? I can't remember exactly.
In November of 2007, so this is after the convention and before the letter, before the call with Justin, did your wife try to recruit Dr. Hill to her MLM company called ePower?
Yes, she did. She did try to get him to come on board with the ePower with HTE. That was the company.
HTE?
Yes.
And did Dr. Hill ever indicate in this effort to recruit him that he was already involved in another MLM formation of this doTERRA?
Not that I'm aware of, but you'd have to ask my wife that.
Why would your wife want to get Dr. Hill involved in an MLM in the fall of 2007?
Mr. Todd says objection calls for speculation. And the judge says overruled, and back to Herbert. If that fall of 2007 after the Washington Convention, I think he was no longer with Young Living.
And what would be the purpose of seeking him out as opposed to anyone else?
He's a medical, oh my gosh, no. He's a medical professional. He has a lot of knowledge, and he would be a really good recruit for that company.
Oh my God. Did Dr. Hill agree to join your wife's downline in this HTE company?
Not that I'm aware of. By the way, this is totally a self-promo, but I just did a video about health professionals in MLM, like less than a week ago. So
yeah, y'all,
there's a lot of
seriously.
them. I mean, yeah. I speak from personal experience too.
Personal experience, but yeah, y'all should definitely go watch it. I'm gonna link in the description here if you end up here and you're at this. Oh, maybe I'll put a card up. 1944. Yeah, I'll put a card up. Okay, let's go.
As I was highlighting, I think he's a chiropractor, if I'm not mistaken, but I think they mentioned that later.
Oh, Dr. Hill's a chiropractor?
I think, unless I was just briefly reading through it while I was highlighting, so I don't really know for sure. But
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
My line 13? Now, with respect to the February 8th phone call that you had with Justin Harrison, it was up 34 minutes. I think it's on a Friday morning, and I put back some time on that. Do you remember, it may not be Friday morning, do you remember where it was where you were when the call came in?
Ironically, I do. And that's the weirdest thing to me.
Tell the jury where you were.
I was walking out of my house talking to him on my cell phone, and I remember specifically being almost sick to my stomach that he was leaving such a good job.
Can you tell me about what time of day it was?
Midday.
The record reflected that you saw on Exhibit 21 that the phone call was made at 1:07 p.m. Would that be consistent with your memory?
It could be, yes.
Now, the phone call seemed to indicate that the call was made to your office and not to your home or cell phone. Can you explain why it was you picked up the call on your cell phone?
Whenever I left the office, I always forwarded the office phone to my cell phone so I didn't miss any loans, any calls.
So if he called your office number, it would have been forwarded to your cell phone. Is that your testimony?
Yes. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And on that call, Justin just the night before had learned, among other things, that Dr. Hill was involved in this new company, been confirmed to him. Did he tell you that?
Mr. Tot says, objection, foundation, asked and answered. And the court says, overruled. Back to Mr. Smith.
Did he tell you that?
I believe he did.
Because earlier you had said, quote, if Dr. Hill's involved, I want to be involved, end quote. Remember that testimony?
Right.
On that call, his testimony is for the first time. He learned the night before that Dr. Hill was involved because he had a call with someone else. Did he share that with you on the call?
If that's when I learned that Dr. Hill was involved, then yes, he could have.
So you learned sometime Dr. Hill was involved before you confirmed it, when you saw him in person at the meeting on April 3rd. Is that fair?
Well, there were rumors of that, yes.
Okay, rumors before?
Yes.
Justin, did he tell you on... My question is, did Justin tell you on February 8th, if you remember?
I don't recall that he did or didn't.
But somewhere before the April 3rd meeting, you knew Dr. Hill was involved in the doTERRA entity?
Yes.
But on April 3rd, you showed up at the Corral Canyon Clubhouse?
Yes.
And saw Dr. Hill for the first time?
Yeah.
Let me go to the February 28th meeting. How did you know about the meeting first? There's been all kinds of testimony on the subject. Did you know about the meeting? Did you get it from Justin, Gina, Rob James, Wendy James, someone else? How did you know about the meeting? Do you remember?
Specifically, it was either Justin or Gina.
Okay. And you can't give us any better than that?
I knew both of them.
You don't deny that your relationship was such with Justin that if he was to come down to St. George, you'd expect him to call you and tell you he was coming to town.
Oh, yes.
In fact, he did call you on both the 27th and the 28th.
Okay.
It looked like he called you on the way down there. Do you remember any of the discussion of what that subject was other than location, time of this meeting, he may be coming down?
I don't.
Did you spend any time with him for dinner on that event, either beforehand or anything like that?
I don't recall. I know at one time he brought his family down and we went on a hike together, but I don't remember if that was that specific event or not.
One thing that's not clear is, did my client David Sterling come to the meeting on February 28th at Gina Truman's house?
I don't remember seeing him.
How about Emily Wright? Did you see Emily Wright at the meeting at Gina Truman's house on February 28th, 2008?
I do not remember seeing Emily or Dave.
Of the 10 people in the room, if they had been there, would you have remembered them?
I did.
Are you telling this jury they were not there? Is that your testimony?
Best of my recollection, they were not there.
The next meeting was on April 3rd, 2008, at the Coral Canyon Country Club. Do you remember that date, or is that just a date you'll accept if I give it?
Say it again.
On April 3rd, 2008, at the Coral Canyon Clubhouse. Do you remember that being the date of the next meeting, or will you just accept that as the date? Everyone has it.
I'll just accept that. I specifically don't remember what date it was. If that's what you say it is, then
How many people were there at the meeting you described at the Coral Canyon Clubhouse?
maybe 30.
Was Justin Harrison one of them on that occasion?
I don't recall him being there.
Okay. Was David Sterling there?
Yes, he was there.
Was Emily Wright there?
Yes, she was there.
And was David Hill there?
Yes.
On the document that was marked as Exhibit 86.04, the request for information that council showed you on that document when you signed it in February of 2008, was it true and correct to the best of your recollection?
Yeah, again, I don't think I would have signed it if I didn't agree to it.
You made a statement that you were initiating contact with doTERRA to find information about the company. Is that accurate?
Correct.
That's how you felt about it on February 28th when you signed the document?
Yes, I was soliciting information.
I have no other questions of the witness at this time.
Okay, so now it moves into they're going into a break and they're picking up with cross-examination the following morning. What do
keep
you?
going. Can you keep going? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
keep
you're good.
going.
Okay, then
So I need to use the other one now. Correct, right? The
I
other
yeah.
document you sent?
Then pull
Okay.
up the new
All right.
one.
All right, let me I had it downloaded, but let me see. Remove.
So that was
Live chat. How's everyone doing?
Let me go to.
I have it in my email. I put it in my drive, so let me just try to pull it up here.
Perfect.
Google Drive.
Go to
Mhm.
send. So now we're going to get into the cross by Hawkins. That one's only like 6 pages, and then the
Cool.
redirect by Toth, which is like 6 pages as well.
Sweet.
So we're
It
almost
just-
done with Gordon Herbert.
What? We would love a new witness. We would love a new witness. Is Mary
Next
Young
one-
ever going to be like on the stand? Do you know?
Julie Herbert.
I don't know.
Not
Oh.
in this next PDF. Because it's Arrest of Gordon and then Julie Herbert and then Judy Jellings, which hers
Judy
isn't very
Jellings.
long either, and then Susie Bagwell and then Sandy Truman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, we do have the chat on the screen, which is awesome. So it's from both of our chats. So all of Kat's chats coming in and all of my chats coming in. So everyone can see everybody's comments, which is great. And let's see. Okay, next.
Trying to look to see when Michael Sheffield, Lillian Shepard, Peggy Langenwalter, Gina Truman is the one after this.
Okay.
And then David Sterling. And then I want to see if Ted Tatos and then Emily Wright.
Okay.
Oh, I skipped one. We still have a while for David Sterling.
Okay, let me see. Page just starts on Gordon Herbert.
Hoffman.
1210. Here we go.
Watkins. Are we ready?
Yeah. I think Gordon Herbert.
Gary Young comes back.
Hell yeah. We
comes back
love it.
on page 2994.
Oh my god.
It's gonna be a while. So we have Mr. Hawkins, and I thought I'd spent like an hour trying to download these mods, but they don't work. So we're stuck with Baby Snark, and I know people don't love polite demon lawyers, so let me figure out what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be a while before we get to Gary again.
I think we'll use this voice because it doesn't have as much of an echo. Does that work for you?
Mhm.
Okay. Because it's a little crisper than polite demon lawyer, I think.
I think it's a
Yeah.
little
Is this a
crisper.
new
Yeah.
one?
It's not a new one. It's just one I haven't used before, but I think it's
Oh.
better than it's more crisp and clear than
It
polite demon
is.
lawyer. So
Where has
yeah,
that
so we'll do
been?
that one. I don't know. It's just been on my board. I've just been I don't know. I just get into habits of
sounds
stuff and
good.
I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So I will be do you want me to be Mr. Hawkins and
Sure.
with
Is that
the
what you want to
new
do?
voice one? Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that's fine? Okay.
Yeah. Switch it up.
Okay. Yep. Good morning, Mr. Herbert. How are you?
Oh, wait. Never
No.
mind. We're continuing it.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
How are you?
Let me just put Mr. Herbert up here. Sorry. Oh. I mean Hawkins. Gosh.
Yeah.
I was confused. Okay, Hawkins. There we go.
Okay.
We're ready. Okay. Doing well, thanks. Yesterday, you recall Mr. Toth asking you some about smooth move. Do you recall that question?
I do.
Is that the first time you had ever heard that phrase before?
Yes.
You talked a little bit about Dr. Hill. Who's Dr. Hill?
Dr. Hill is one of the owners of doTERRA. He worked for Young Living.
When did you first meet Dr. Hill?
I first met him on a humanitarian trip that we took to Mexico.
And did you have a chance to speak with Mr. Hill on that trip? Dr. Hill.
Yes.
Sorry. You had a chance to get to know him a little bit?
We hiked around in the mountains of Mexico helping the Tarahumara Indians, and we spent a lot of time walking on the trail together and also on projects that we did talking.
Did you have any other interactions with Dr. Hill while you were at Young Living? Excuse me, while he was at Young Living?
Once we got acquainted, my daughter worked for the clinic, the Young Living Clinic, which Dr. Hill was the manager of. And so we had some interactions there with him as well.
Did you ever have an opportunity to see Dr. Hill present on essential oils?
Many times.
And how did you feel about those presentations?
They were very well done. Some of the terminology was way over my head because he's a medical doctor and I'm not. Is he a medical doctor? I don't know. But they were very, very well done presentations.
Fair to say that Dr. Hill is somebody that you respected?
Yes, very much.
And it's fair to say that Dr. Hill is somebody that you wanted to be associated with?
Yes, very much.
And is it fair to say that Dr. Hill was one of the primary reasons why you enrolled in doTERRA?
Yes.
Now, do you recall a couple of questions Mr. Toth asked you about your decision to enroll in doTERRA in early February 2008? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Generally? About how much money did it cost you to enroll in doTERRA?
About 500 probably.
Did you view that as a risky proposition?
No.
And what is that?
To have the opportunity to start a business for $500, it's a minimum investment.
So you didn't have to have all of the details about doTERRA before you made a decision to enroll, did you?
No.
Now, why did you view doTERRA as a good opportunity?
New company. If you were able to get in early, there's a better chance of success. Again, having Dr. Hill involved added a lot of credibility in my mind.
So is it fair to say that you saw lots of upside with very little risk?
Yes, I would agree to that.
Now, you testified a little bit yesterday about statements that Gary Young made to you. Do you recall that testimony? For example, you talked about kind of the reincarnation story.
Okay.
And were there other similar type statements made by Gary Young?
Yes, there were. Yes.
And when you heard those statements by Mr. Young, was it something that he was at your house telling you and it was just you, or were you in sort of a larger setting with a bunch of Young Living distributors?
No, we were in a Young Living conference with a lot of people.
How many distributors would you estimate were at those conferences?
200 to 300.
Sometimes several thousand?
Sometimes several thousand, yes.
So those weren't isolated type examples of kind of crazy statements that Mr. Young would say.
No.
How you talked about some of the difficulty that your wife had building her Young Living downline around 2007. Do you remember that?
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
as far as you know, did Young Living ever change its compensation plan leading up to 2007?
Several times, yes.
And did that have any impact on your ability to grow her Young Living business?
When there's lots of change, yes, it did. When there's a lot of change in a company, then it does affect the credibility of the company. And it's people who join network marketing companies, the compensation plan is quite important, how they're going to get paid. So yes, that would lead to less credibility for that company. Which is funny because they've made so many compensation plan or changes even since this time recently.
Oh yeah, and they just, I mean, the change they just recently made is giving people more money for those signups. So it's basically rewarding people for flooding Young Living with new bodies, basically. Because I don't know how they're affording to give that much money from one sign up. I'm just boggled. And they're putting it's, what is the right word? It sounds like they're placing a bet that those people are at least going to make one loyalty rewards order, or at least place additional orders after the first one. But in Young Living, when you sign someone up, you get a way bigger commission the first 3 months that they order. Then after that, it drops down to like 8% or whatever it is, 6% or whatever. And so you have to get them past that 3-month mark to make it worthwhile for Young Living. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. Honestly, that's just my opinion.
Interesting.
Mr. Herbert, did Justin Harrison persuade you to be a part of DOTERRA? Oh wait, number 15. Did any of those compensation plan changes impact your wife's commission check in a negative way?
Yes, I believe they did.
Mr. Herbert, did Justin Harrison persuade you to be a part of DOTERRA?
No.
Did he ever ask you to be a part of DOTERRA?
No.
You made that decision on your own.
Yes.
No further questions, thank you.
And Mr. Toth says, just a few. Sorry, Your Honor, I haven't been talking enough. Clear out the engine there. What?
Oh my God.
So this one was a quick one, but heading into the redirect now?
Yep. So do we want to do baby snark again? And
that works.
Okay. Do you want me to be Mr. Toth? Like, I guess because you've been it makes
Herbert.
sense. Yeah.
Mr. Herbert sounds like Cat Benson now, so. Mr. Toth, just a few questions to follow up on Mr. Herbert. To follow up on Mr. Smith and Mr. Hawkins' questions. Did you say you first met Dr. Hill on a humanitarian trip?
That's one of the, I believe that's when I met him, yes.
You said that was with the Tarahumara Indians?
Tarahumara?
Yes.
Yes.
And what kind of humanitarian trip was that?
Mr. Smith says, objection. Back to Mr. Toth.
What kind of work were you doing?
Mr. Smith said, objection, irrelevant. And the court said, what's the relevance?
I'm interested in finding out who had actually led that trip and the business with whom he was there. But I'd like him to testify at the beginning since they've opened the door to this introduction. While he was actually in Mexico with the Tarahumara Indians with Dr. Hill.
Mr. Smith said, "It's irrelevant, Your Honor." And the court says, "I'll allow it. Go ahead." And Herbert says, "It was a Young Living humanitarian trip."
It was a trip led by Gary Young, wasn't it?
Yes. Mr. Smith says, "Objection, irrelevant, Your Honor." And the court says, overruled. Back to Mr. Toth.
We can wrap this up. How long were you there on that humanitarian trip?
6 days maybe.
What kind of work were you doing?
Working with the Tarahumara Indians building the school.
You said that Dr. Hill is a medical doctor. Do you recall that in response to one of Mr. Hawkins' questions?
Yes. This is what, so I was right. Okay.
Yes. What medical degree does Dr. Hill have?
Chiropractor.
Do you know whether or not, as part of getting a chiropractic degree, whether he got any training in essential oils?
Mr. Smith says, "Objection, irrelevant." Herbert says, "I don't know." The court says, overruled. Back to Mr. Toth.
Do you know whether or not essential oils is something one gets a medical degree for?
I have no idea.
Do you know where Dr. Hill got his training in essential oils?
We have a bot.
Oh, God. No! Oh, okay. I'm taking him off. I'm trying to get him. Ban. Block user. Can I remove this? Add to block list.
I think you have
There we
one. No. Okay.
Oops. Something went wrong. Can I reload? No! Okay, there we go. Oh, they're still up there.
I was like,
Thanks,
yeah.
Karina.
I thought, yeah.
Thank you.
Yay,
Thank you.
Thanks, Karina.
All right.
Okay.
don't
Can
know
you
where I
ask
am.
17 again?
Do
Oh,
you
wait,
know
no,
whether
14.
14?
Yeah.
Do you know where Dr. Hill got his training in essential oils?
I do not.
Do you know whether Dr. Hill had any experience with essential oils prior to working at Young Living?
I do not.
But you know he worked extensively at Young Living, right?
Yes.
Mr. Smith asked you some questions on his cross-examination about whether you were a Young Living distributor. Do you recall that?
Mr. Smith says, "Objection. I think that misstates the testimony." And the court says, overruled. Back to Mr. Toth.
Do you recall that line of questioning Mr. Smith asked you about whether you or your wife had a Young Living distributorship? Do you recall that line of questioning?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Isn't it true, sir, that you had been a Young Living distributor for some time? You were a Young Living... Strike that. Isn't it true that you were a Young Living distributor up and through 2007?
I worked with my wife in her business, which was a Young Living distributorship.
Okay. Have you ever made a statement, say, to the federal government that you are, in fact, a Young Living distributor?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Mr. Herbert, I'm going to hand you a document, and this is a document that I'll represent to you is available on the internet, and I can show you a Google search that pulls it up.
Mr. Smith says, I would object. I would object to the statement by the counsel. It's totally inappropriate. And the court says, we'll strike that and just have counsel lay foundation if there's no intention to use it. And Mr. Smith says, or if he'd like to be sworn in as a witness, we can talk about that too. Back to Mr. Toth.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you recall writing a letter to the Federal Trade Commission on July 3rd, 2006?
No.
You have no recollection of writing a letter to the Federal Trade Commission in July of 2006?
No.
Do you recall making a statement to the Federal Trade Commission in July of 2006? Quote, I have been a distributor with Young Living for several years, end quote.
Mr. Smith says, objection. Counsel is suggesting reading from a document not admitted into evidence. Not appropriate. No foundation. The court says, sustained. Back to Mr. Toth.
It's your testimony that you never wrote any letters to the Federal Trade Commission.
Not that I recall.
No further questions.
Mr. Smith says no further questions, Your Honor. Everybody is saying no. They don't have any questions or anything. And so they call Julie Herbert, his wife. So like, what did he say that to the FTC? Did his wife say that to the FTC? Is he lying?
Something happened. I want to see what it is. I want to see
Right.
what he wrote, because I don't know if he got in trouble with the Federal Trade Commission because he's in the banks and banking, and I don't know if he was like saying like, oh no, I was a Young Living distributor, I couldn't have done whatever. So I don't know. We have no.
I mean, he said it
idea.
was the Google search.
Yeah. Oh well, you know what? Google Gordon Herbert.
Oh, Leo is talking
Federal.
back to Baby Snark, y'all. Hi, Leo.
Oh, hi Leo.
We can get through Julie's direct by straight.
Cool.
46 through 67.
Oh my. Gordon. I'm looking for
Gordon Herbert, FTC, Young Living distributor.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it too. Let's see.
I'm looking at it. I'm trying to find it though.
Did you
I'm
find
not
it?
finding it. I didn't find it fast. Did you find it?
No. Let me do Control F. This.
Okay.
I found a PDF. A really long one. Okay. Control F. Gordon. Oh, there's 1,000 Gordons on here. But
maybe Gordon
maybe
Herbert.
we'll find it for next time.
There's an antitrust. We'll have to find it for next time for sure.
Yeah.
Wendy, hey, what's up? Wendy's our resident well, she's a lawyer, but she doesn't give us legal advice, so. Oh, okay. All right. Wendy, I wish I had a good voice for her, but I don't.
No good
None
voices.
of them worked.
Yeah, I can find it.
Okay.
Julie.
You want? Yeah. Do you want me to be
Wendy.
Julie?
I don't know. Okay.
Wendy's
Julie
in the chat,
Herbert
so that's probably why.
is next. Oh, that's why.
Yep.
You said Wendy.
Yeah, I did. I said Wendy. But I didn't. I wasn't reading Wendy, so yeah.
Hi, Wendy. Okay. Julie Herbert is next. And I believe it is with Straight.
Oh, Mr. Straight. All right, let me pull up Mr. Straight's little. Is this it? Oh, first try. Sweet. Okay. I guess we can flip back to
This guy, he's pretty crispy. You want me Mr. Straight for this one? Or
That sounds good.
what would you like me to do? Okay.
That sounds good.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Look at the little cat, though. Oh, the little black nose. So cute.
Yes. Okay, good morning, Miss Herbert.
Good morning.
You and your husband are doTERRA distributors, is that right?
Yes.
And you are considered doTERRA US founders, is that right?
Yes.
Hi, Cat with a K. Oh my gosh.
Hi.
Okay, sorry. I'm done.
I want to boop that little cat's nose.
Yes. And that means that you were one of 25 distributors at doTERRA to first hit the rank of gold. Is that right?
Yes. Well, my husband, he was the one that was on the account. So she did sign him up as a distributor?
Yeah. Yep. And that's a good follow-up question. You and your husband work the doTERRA business together. Is that right?
Wait, no, they're talking about doTERRA. We're talking about Young Living. Okay, never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Smith says, objection, vague as to time. Back to Mr. Straight.
And you and your husband were recognized as U.S. founders together, isn't that true?
Yes, I believe so. And the court says, counsel, why don't we clarify the timeline? Back to Mr. Straight.
Sure. Do you know when your doTERRA distributorship was first recognized as a U.S. founder?
I don't. Mr. Smith says, my objection, Your Honor, is when she started working on the doTERRA.
We'll get there. I wanted to see if she knew what the issue was on the founder.
Mr. Smith says, that would be an issue for foundation if we could lay the foundation when she started the account. And the court says, why don't we see if we can lay that foundation? Back to Mr. Straight.
Did you start working with your husband's doTERRA business in 2008?
In 2008, I believe I was supporting and assisting him as best as I could. Yes.
Thank you. What was the phone number? What were the phone numbers that you used in 2007 and 2008?
2007, 2008, I believe I was just using my cell phone.
Could you tell us what that is?
Number redacted, and my home phone, and our home phone, which was redacted.
Thank you. Now, Miss Herbert, were you formerly a Young Living distributor?
Yes.
And did you become a Young Living distributor in about 1995?
I believe that's correct. Yes.
And your husband Gordon and you worked that that Young Living business together. Is that fair?
Yeah.
But today, you're no longer a Young Living distributor. Is that true?
True.
And was your Young Living account terminated because you were recruiting Young Living distributors to be doTERRA distributors?
When they terminated me, they left a message on my cell phone, on my home phone, on my home phone, and said that I was terminated. And they gave no reason or anything other than I was terminated. I returned the call to inquire about it, and I never received a response. I called them multiple times.
But as you sit here today, do you know whether you were terminated because Young Living believed you were recruiting?
Young Living never talked to me.
If you could, let me finish my question.
Sorry.
Everyone does it. It's how we naturally talk, but he has to take everything down.
Sure.
If you just let me finish, did you have any understanding that your distributorship with Young Living was terminated because you were recruiting or being accused of recruiting Young Living distributors over to doTERRA?
Mr. Smith says, objection, lack of foundation. Mr. Gaylord says, assumes facts not in evidence, and the court says, overruled. Julie Herbert says, I have no idea why. Other than they left a message and said I was terminated.
Are there any distributors in your doTERRA downline who used to be in your Young Living downline?
Mr. Smith said, objection, irrelevant, and the court says overruled. And Herbert says, yes, I believe there are a...
Oh, I think it's the other words on the other page.
Cut off.
Couple.
Oh, I didn't see the last one. Yes, I believe there are a couple.
And who are they?
Well, Joan Smith was in our doTERRA group and our Young Living group. Joan Smith has since passed.
Joan Smith?
Joan Smith. She was a dear friend in Idaho Falls. I, however, did not recruit her into doTERRA or my husband. It was actually someone else.
And Miss Herbert, my question is very narrow. It's just, who were they?
Okay. Mr. Smith says, objection. I renew my objection as irrelevant. Not recruited by the witness is irrelevant if they are in a downline. And the court says overruled. Back to Mr. Straight.
Yeah, any others besides Joan Smith who were in your Young Living down and are now in your doTERRA downline?
Let me see. Nancy Rodriguez. She actually...
Any others besides Joan Smith and Nancy Rodriguez?
Boy, I'd have to look over my downline. I'm sorry.
Now, were you considered a prominent distributor at Young Living?
Mr. Smith says, object to form. And the court says overruled. Herbert says prominent.
Mr. Straight says yes.
No, I was a little fish, I think.
Did you teach Young Living classes on the raindrop technique?
Yes.
What's the raindrop technique?
It's an application on the spine and on the feet.
Application of essential oils?
Yes.
Do you teach the raindrop technique or something similar to it at DOTERRA now?
Yes. Mr. Smith says objection irrelevant. The court says sustained, and Mr. Smith says move to strike, and the court says stricken. Back to Mr. Straight.
What was the highest rank you achieved at Young Living?
I'm not sure.
Do you know any of the ranks you ever achieved at Young Living?
It's been a few years, so I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Do you know Justin Harrison?
Yes.
How do you know Justin Harrison?
I knew him through an ad, a wants ad in the paper. And he was actually selling natural products that I was interested in. And I called him and we met, and there was just products I was interested in.
Do you have a sense of when that was in time?
Maybe 94, 5 in there.
And did there come a time when Justin Harrison became a distributor for Young Living products?
Yes.
And then did there come a time after that that Justin Harrison became an employee for Young Living?
Yes.
And during the time that you were distributor for Young Living and Justin Harrison was an employee at Young Living, did he work together with you to help your Young Living business?
No, I would say it was more like events that were corporate events that he participated in, and that's how my group participated. My team participated in.
So help us understand.
Okay.
When you say, quote, an event, a corporate event, end quote, what do you mean by that?
Young Living hosted events all over, and so these corporate events were held, and representatives from Young Living would come and teach and, help the people in that area to work.
So Justin Harrison, he came to some of these Young Living corporate events that you and your team attended, is that right?
Yeah.
What kind of things did Justin Harrison teach at the Young Living corporate events that you've just testified about?
Oh, he was really great. As far as motivation and business, he was really good at the business plan, studied the business plan a lot. He taught a lot about the marketing, the business side of things.
And when you say,
Business side
quote,
of
the,
it, things,
oh,
yeah.
sorry. And when you say, quote, the business plan, end quote, is that also the compensation plan?
Yes.
And when you talk about your Young Living team, what do you mean by that?
So when someone enrolls, some of the goals that some of the distributors have is to create a team. And so you personally enroll. So Justin was at the time when I enrolled, he was my personally sponsored. And then as the team grew, you develop a strategy of where to place the people to help others achieve specific goals and help them get their products for free and things of that nature.
During the time that Justin Harrison was now an employee for Young Living and had a Young Living distributorship, what did you consider your Young Living team? How many people was that?
I'm not a numbers person, and I'd have to look I don't know. I'm not sure.
If we could, Susan, put up Exhibit 61. I want to shift topics a little bit to doTERRA.
Okay.
There we go. And if I might approach, Your Honor, I have a little binder again for the witness and for Your Honor.
The court says yes.
Miss Herbert, some people, it's easier to look at the paper, the screen. We've tried to make it both. Miss Herbert, if you take a look at Exhibit 61, your husband testified quite a bit about this yesterday. And this is a doTERRA application that he signed. If you look at the very top of the page, it says it was entered on April 17th, 2008. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you talk to Justin Harrison about doTERRA prior to April 17th, 2008?
Yes.
And when did you talk to Justin Harrison about doTERRA prior to April 17th, 2008?
I'm not sure the dates.
What did you discuss with Justin Harrison about doTERRA prior to April 17th?
I don't know that. I think it was actually a shock when I learned about doTERRA that all of these people were leaving Young Living. I sort of thought of them as family. And so when it was like a divorce, like a family divorce to me. Which it's crazy because that's happening right now again in Young Living. Okay, continuing on. It was hard to see such a split, and I think I was rather shocked, actually. And I'm not certain why, because there's a lot of red flags for years that I chose to ignore. Ooh, what are those red flags, Julie?
Yeah. When you say, quote, people leaving, end quote, what do you mean by that?
Well, it seems like there was this train track, and Young Living was going down the train and there was carnage everywhere. People would leave all the time because of adulterations of oils and because of integrity issues and challenges. People would come to my house a lot
Let me
and bring.
let me remind you, I just asked you what people are you talking about.
Okay.
I move to strike that answer as non-responsive.
The court says stricken. And Herbert says, repeat your question.
What people were leaving?
Levon Birch in particular. I remember a guy by the name of Spencer. There were a lot of people that worked at corporate who.
Sorry, I was distracted.
Oh. There were a lot of people who worked at
I need to
corporate
change the page
who.
for you. Sorry.
Yeah. There were a lot of people who worked at corporate who became attached to them and appreciated their work, and they'd leave. There were just lots of people leaving for various reasons.
So then let's get back to what discussions you had with Justin Harrison
Okay.
about doTERRA prior to April 17th, 2008.
Sure. Mr. Gaylord says, objection, Your Honor, foundation on terms of time frame. That's pretty broad. And the court says, clarify the time frame. Mr. Straight?
I thought the time was prior to April 17th, 2008, discussions with Justin Harrison about doTERRA.
The court says, all right, go ahead. And Herbert says, well, I remember being shocked. And I remember saying, quote, you mean my mentors are now my competition? End quote. I think something of that nature.
Did you say that to Justin Harrison?
Yes.
And what did Justin Harrison say in response to you saying that?
I remember this very well because Justin has a funny sense of humor. He said, quote, rub joy on your heart and get over it, end quote. That's what he said.
Anything else you remember Justin Harrison saying to you about doTERRA prior to April 17th, 2008?
Anything else? Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. Is there anything else you remember Justin Harrison saying to you about doTERRA prior to April 17th, 2008?
No.
Why don't we put up Exhibit 21 and we're going to page 123. Miss Herbert, while that's coming up, I will just tell you that these are Justin Harrison's phone records
Uh-huh. Affirmative.
from the relevant times.
Okay.
And they've been admitted into evidence in this case. I just wanted to ask you about a couple of calls that are here on these phone records. If we could look at lines 280 and then 288 and 89, it's really email, and we'll do our best. So do you see line 280 there, Miss Herbert?
It's really small. Not really email.
Oh, sorry.
It does look like email.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Really small. Oh my god. Sorry. I was like, that doesn't make...
I was like, that doesn't make any sense. My eyes are like, I think I need glasses or something because like it looks.
It does
from
look
back
like
here,
email
it looks
when
like
you-
email.
It does, yeah.
It's really small, but we'll do our best. Literally, an ironic moment in the stream that it was really small and I read the wrong word. So.
Yes.
And there's your phone number. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were calling Mr. Harrison on March 8th, 2008. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if you look down at 288 and 289, that's March 10th of 2008. And it looks like Mr. Harrison called you, and then you called him back on March 10th. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you remember that you talked about during those calls?
I do not. I'm sorry.
Your husband testified yesterday that Mr. Harrison brought some essential oils to you in March of 2008 for you to look at to see if they were good. Do you remember that?
I don't know the time frame per se, but I remember him leaving some oils and asking me what I thought of the oils.
Okay, and did you test the frequency of those oils?
Mr.
my
Smith
God.
says, objection, vague. Herbert says, I'm not sure what you're implying. And the court says, I'll have you rephrase. Back to Mr. Straight.
Sure, you've stated that the high frequency of essential oils lifts one's own frequency to a higher level of health and well being. Is that true?
Mr. Smith says, objection. If he's reading from something not in evidence, I haven't seen it. I'm entitled to see it before he shows a witness and tries to refresh her memory. If for impeachment, I get to see it as well. And the court says, is there something you're reading, Mr. Straight?
Yes, Your Honor, I was using it to impeach, but I'm glad to give it.
Mr. Smith says, I'm entitled to see it.
Sure. So let me ask the question again, Miss Herbert. You have stated publicly that the high frequencies of essential oils lifts one's own frequency to a higher level of health and well-being. Isn't that true?
Mr. Smith said, objection, Your Honor, collateral impeachment, not subject matter of the case, 401, 402, 403, not appropriate. And the court says, response?
Mr. Stray says she just indicated she doesn't know what I mean by, quote, frequency of the oils, end quote, and we have this here to help us determine that.
Mr. Smith says, just collaterally, Your Honor. The court says sustained.
Oh, wait.
Let me just give you a pause real quick. The we're talking about is in the essential oils descripts. And there's a section in there that talks about that they've measured the frequency. They've measured the frequency of food in cans, which is low. They've measured the frequency of people who are sick with cancer. That's a certain number. They've measured the frequency of every single oil. And their theory, their hypothesis, I know this sounds wild to someone who's trained in science like Kat is. Their hypothesis is that you take the right oils and you raise your frequency because a healthy person's frequency is within a certain range. And so their belief is that because they've measured the frequency of these oils that's at a higher frequency than most everyone who's sick, that you can put the oils on and raise your frequency. I know I sound like a lunatic. It's in the essential oils desk reference and they all believe it.
I mean, it's a guru thing. Yeah, frequency, vibrations.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that.
So when she's saying she doesn't know what he's talking about, in my opinion, she's full of it because they all believe, they all talk about it. They all do.
It's something that is consistently promoted at Young Living.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
and outside
in
of
my
Young Living too.
in the essential oils desk reference, they make it seem like science because they've listed the frequency of every single essential oil in the center section. They talk about that they've measured people who are sick, they've measured people who are healthy, they've measured people whatever, and then so it's a whole section in the book that they preach on or teach on, whatever. So
thank you, Eloise. Yeah, sounds pretty scammy.
Yeah, and then again, if you're looking for answers and you haven't been able to find an answer like science, for anything, you start to believe like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Like, of course, microwaves are going to destroy the frequency of everything. So like, we're not going to use microwaves. And of course, it's just, yeah. And they start to demonize food too with it because of canned food doesn't have good frequencies, apparently.
No. Yeah, and the more people just believe that and hear that, they're it's kind of like the whole idea of like a sugar pill when they're using those oils and kind of seeing those outcomes of it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
We're back. Are we on line 16?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. So, Miss Herbert, did you do anything to determine whether the oils that Justin Harrison brought to you to your home, did you do anything to determine whether they were good oils?
Well, I smelled them and I started to use them.
Anything
Yeah,
else?
placebo effect.
Anything else?
Not at that time.
Did you make any determination whether they were good oils based on the oils that Justin Harrison,
I liked the oils.
and why?
They smelled great. And I liked the results. It seemed like I was seeing better results with less oils.
You said not at that time you did test them for anything more than smell and using them. Did there come a time when you tested oils that Mr. Harrison provided?
Mr. Smith says, objection, irrelevant, Your Honor. And the court says, what's the relevance?
Mr. Straight says, determining whether these oils that were brought prior to April 17th, 2008, what the finding was, as Mr. Herbert testified yesterday, whether they were good oils or not.
The court says sustained.
Did you report back to Mr. Harrison about your findings about these oils that he had brought to you prior to April 17th, 2008?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Sure, I'll try again. Sometimes not very good. Did you ever report back to Mr. Harrison your findings about the oils he brought to you prior to April 17th, 2008?
Mr. Smith says, objection, Your Honor. The question is vague as to the term, quote, finding, end quote. And the court says, rephrase, please. Back to Mr. Straight.
Did you ever tell Mr. Harrison anything back in response to him bringing you oils to find out whether they were good oils?
I remember saying I liked the oils.
Anything more than that you remember?
No.
If you would go back to Exhibit 21, go to lines 497 to 498 if we could. We'll blow those up. Sorry, 146. I apologize, page 146.
Mr. Smith says page 123 or 123, you mean?
Exhibit 21, 146.
Sorry.
No problem. We're going to look at lines 497 to 498. See those 497 and 498, Miss Herbert?
Affirmative.
Those were calls that Mr. Harrison made to you on April 14th, 2008. Is that right?
It appears so, yes.
And do you know what you talked about during those calls?
I'm sorry, no.
Mrs. Herbert, the fact that Mr. Harrison was involved in doTERRA was certainly important to you and your husband's decision to join Terra. Isn't that true?
It was. It was important to my husband's decision to join.
Was it important to yours too?
At the time, I was working at our businesses, and I would say I was tired of all the oil drama, and there was a lot of it over the years, and I was working other companies at that time.
Were you...
Mr. Smith says, Your Honor, I would strike the answer that said, quote, it was important to my husband's decision, end quote, as both non-responsive and calls for speculation on her part or hearsay, and the balance I would leave in the response. And the court says overruled. Back to Mr. Straight.
Now, Miss Herbert, in 2007, you were still working your Young Living business, weren't you?
I believe, yes.
And in fact, in 2008, you were still working your Young Living business, at least for part of 2008. Isn't that true?
Well, actually, I'm thinking of the time frame in about I'm not sure when there was a convention in Washington D.C. and I remember attending that with my husband, and I was I was still engaged to a degree, but I wasn't receiving a lot of compensation for my efforts.
If Young Living's records show that your commission checks in 2007 totaled $23,579, would you have any reason to dispute that?
I'd have to see the record, yeah.
Any reason to dispute it?
No, if that's what it showed, no.
And that's about $2,000 a month from Young Living in 2007, right? To you?
I'd have to see the record.
Now, in fact, you attended the June 2008 Young Living Convention in Salt Lake City, didn't you?
I believe that's correct. Yes.
And isn't it true at that convention you said very positive things about Young Living?
In 2008?
Yes.
I don't know. I attended the convention. I didn't know what I was speaking. I didn't know that I was speaking anything. I don't know that I was speaking anything to anybody. I was just learning what I could do about the products. I don't know that I was actually talking about the company to anybody specific.
Do you remember recording a video about Young Living?
In 2008?
Yeah, around the '08 convention. So that's helpful. I'll represent to you that the '08 convention for Young Living was in the middle of June 2008. Does that help your memory at all?
That would make sense.
Okay. Do you remember recording a video clip about Young Living?
I don't.
Do you remember saying you were thankful for Young Living and all that it's done in your life?
Mr. Smith said, "Objection, Your Honor." And Herbert says, "I would have to see it." Mr. Smith said, "Objection." The court said, "There's an objection." Mr. Smith said, "Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is trying to impeach her. I'm entitled to see whatever he's suggesting. I want to find out why it wasn't produced to me previously if it's for impeachment. Seems to be collateral at his point." And the court says, "Is there a document?" Mr. Straight, back to Mr. Straight.
There's just the video. I'm not sure how best to show that without having the jury see it all at the same time.
Mr. Smith says, "The issue would be first, why wasn't it provided to us before trial?" And that would be the first issue. The second issue is just, it seems collateral since now it seems to be in 2008 after the sign up date. I think it's both. I don't think we should explore some video.
It's purely for impeachment of refreshing memory, and that's the only reason it's for.
The court says, "Well, I'll sustain the objection, and the item, whether it's a deposition or a document or whatever, it needs to be provided to counsel if you're going to use it to impeach."
Okay, so you hadn't decided to stop building your Young Living business in June of 2008, had you?
I think I stopped building shortly after convention, the Washington, D.C. convention. I was getting paid a better residual income with two other companies. I had worked specifically with HTE USA and achieved president in that particular company, and then also emerald status in Wayora, and was traveling extensively for both of those.
You still went to the Young Living June 2008 convention, right?
Yes, it appears that is true. I remember going to a convention after Washington, D.C.
And were other members of your Young Living team at the June 2008 Young Living convention as well?
I'm not sure.
No further questions.
Can you imagine just going to a conference for HTE USA and seeing a whole bunch of presidents walking around?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't. And some of the names that they come up with for these multi-level marketing companies, I'm like, what? Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I do not get it. I wonder if there's any material Young Living Convention 2008. I wonder if there's any videos of the 2008 convention. 2008 Lavender Days. Young Living Convention. This is an overseas convention in 2000. There's some videos of it, so I'll have to download some of those and play them next time for our intro video.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next
Live
one
chat,
is
what do you
longer.
think? Yeah, the next one is longer.
Yeah, 67 to 102, so that will take a little while.
Yeah. Well, we're getting through it. I think let's see what page we're on. 1244. I mean, we're making our way through. Slowly, we're like chugging up. Yep. Yeah, they need to start coming up with new level names like street or avenue. Yeah, or like, I would love for someone to be unique about it.
Unique.
Convention staging 2018. No,
unique specifically. They do like rubies and I think, right?
Yeah, I have found pictures from the 2008 convention. Okay. Holy crap.
I know Juice Plus did more of like corporate sounding names. So they did virtual franchisee, sales coordinator, senior sales coordinator, qualifying national marketing director, and national marketing director. So I was like, sales
Holy crap.
coordinator. What? That sounds very businessy, and
Yeah. I'll
it's
have
just
to
odd
find
because you're
these.
doing the exact same kind of actions at each of the levels.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, and it's
kind of like
all just for recognition of levels. It's not
right.
necessarily for anything like
No.
it's other than you get a bigger paycheck, and that's the only similarity I think in a regular like business where you get a higher paycheck the higher you are in the company.
Mhm. See, Avery, the corporate names are better than Double Star Diamond, but if you don't know anything about MLM, it adds, I think, some legitimacy towards it, like false legitimacy. So it
Yep.
can like bamboozle people into thinking that it's legitimate.
Yeah. Yep. Oh my
But
god.
yeah, I see. They do sound better, but yeah, there's that downside.
Yeah. Oh, Kat, have you seen the video where that Kira has about Gary Young made some claims that he was working with people for the frankincense tree or whatever, and the guy made a video basically like debunking everything Gary Young wrote about, that the people were so welcoming and working with him to do stuff with like to get more frankincense. It's
don't think so.
awful. It's an awful video. I'll have to send you the link. Yeah, it's bad. We have to play that for the next intro. Like we have so many things to play because it's like the stuff that Kira's dug up about Young Living. It's just been a whole thing. And I literally I would never have joined or been associated with Young Living had I seen that video. You know, it's just awful. So
yeah, pizza toppings, that would be funny.
Yeah, like pepperoni, like double pepperoni, like onion, you know, for the lowest rank, you know, I don't know, mushroom,
sardine.
Yeah, snacks, like a snack.
Material, that's a good one. Kind of, that reminds me of like the anniversary years, like where they have a year of like
Yes.
paper and gold
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
That would be great. Well, live chat, you've been incredible. Thanks for hanging out with us. I think what we might do is we may start taking like timed breaks to be able to chat with y'all, because that's the fun part of being able to do these live streams. Double mozzarella pepperoni. Yes.
I love that.
Let's submit a request for someone to change their name. So we're maybe start like timing it like every 20 minutes we take a chat break, because getting to talk to you is one of the fun parts about this.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know. We're just moving along. There's 4,000 pages of this transcript. So, and I'm gonna figure out the voice mods because I have them. I don't know why they're not showing up on the board. So we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
The CRISPR
one is better.
It's better than regular. Yeah, so it's at least better. It's at least not. Baby Snark is still our favorite, and I have 30 of them. I just need to figure out how to get them to play through my board. So we'll figure it out. So, live chat, thanks for hanging out with us. Replay crew, much love to you. If you haven't liked the stream, would love for you to like the stream. Would love, and if you're watching on my channel, please go follow Kat, like the video on her channel if you haven't done that. Oh yes, very much. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next live stream. Look for a cool intro video, because we found all these pictures from the 2008 convention, and it was a lot bigger than what we've seen previously. So it's gonna be a good time. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream, and I forgot an outro, so I'm just gonna take us out and then play the music so we can put the end scene in. So we will talk to y'all later. Bye.